say? Do you remember your childhood, your teenage years, your marriage, your first children, that special vacation? Think of these times and write about them because you want that middle to matter. Here are 5 action steps for writing, and we're going to go over these, so get out your paper. And be sure to write in the chat if you have a question or a comment. 1, identify unique personal moments in your life. This is how you start to write a story. This is going to prompt your December letter. This is a picture, it was a couple years ago, as you can tell. I'm in my little bobby socks, but this is with my brothers. Both my brothers have passed away. I cannot duplicate this picture, but I have the memories and I can write about those times. And I can write something that maybe will help my family and those who are still living who remember my brothers. Be sure to use your senses in your story. How did it make you feel? What did you see? What did you hear, taste, feel, smell? I'll often read a story and I'm confused and frustrated because I don't know what the person was wearing. How can you describe a funny person and not describe the clothes or the scene or what they were eating? This all goes to your story. In this picture, I had broken my arm and my arm still hurts sometimes. So I carry that story with me forever. Personal validation. What in your past made you feel proud? Maybe you won a race in college. Maybe you won another trophy for something, or you completed a short story. That should make you feel proud, and remember how that feels. Do you have stories in your past that make you feel guilty? I do. I took the last piece of pie that my dad wanted, and I still feel guilty about that to this day, but I wrote about it. Have you made mistakes? I think some of us have, but we've also had successes. Use those experiences in your stories. The memories and emotions can create and so help you write the stories that you want to share. Action step number 2. This is so important to me. Use music to prompt hidden emotions. I took this picture on Broadway. Remember when we could go to Broadway musicals? This was over a year ago. It was at Carole King's Broadway musical, Beautiful. And they played her Tapestry album. And Tapestry album for me was pivotal because it came out while I was in college. And college is such a confusing time when you don't know what you're doing, you don't know where you're going, but you can feel the earth move under your feet if you listen to some good music. And it continues to inspire me. We're going to have a little writing exercise now. I'm going to play 2 minutes of music, and I want it to prompt your writing creativity. We've been trapped inside for several months now. We can't travel. I had to cancel 4 trips. I was supposed to be speaking in Ireland and I had to cancel. But I can imagine being there. I can watch a travel video and listen to the music and write about what if I were there. I want you to listen to this for 2 minutes. Start writing. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? What do you want to look like? And what are you going to do? Okay, I'm going to come out. Who wants to talk to me? Did that inspire anything? Wave your hand if you traveled somewhere. Great. Oh, there's an Elaine. Hi, Elaine. I see you. Hi. Can you tell me, any of you, just type into chat, where'd you go? And did you have a good time? And Marielle will tell me if somebody is saying something.
Yes, I will.
Hi,
Okay, Wendy went to Italy.
Italy.
That sounds fabulous right now. Oh, Scotland. CS went to Scotland to see where her ancestors lived.
Oh, great.
Sandra went to Italy. Let's see. Tracy, she saw the water. She went to Aruba. Dana loves Scotland. She was in Scotland and Iceland.
Wow.
I know. Dawn went to Victoria, Canada. Mary Holden went to Positano, Italy.
Hi, Mary Holden. Well, see, isn't this exciting? Do you see how the music helps stimulate certain memories? And there's no excuse if we've been trapped inside, we can still escape and go somewhere and write a story about it. And that's what I want you to do. And I'm going to go back into this, because I do that. I listen to music and it inspires me to write humor or memoir or children's books. And I encourage you to do that as you're going to write your story. Now, we were going to talk about writing our December letter. And so I'm going to give you another little audio prompt. It won't be as long, it's about 30 seconds. But for the December letter, and this is all inclusive, it can be for Christmas, for Hanukkah, or just a generic Christmas letter. Listen to some of this music, and I want you to start writing down the story that. Oh, it just stopped. We want this. Oh, wasn't that fun?
When you call, I respond.
What?
Okay, bye.
Oh, I'll mute her. Hang on.
Hi, I am going to get out of here. And now, did anybody think of something they might want to put in their December letter? Do you have memories from past Decembers or holiday events with children, and how that would help and how you can be inspired by this music to write? Wave your hand. I know you're there. Okay. I also noticed that in the previous musical section, nobody said they wanted to come to Idaho. I don't understand. I'll come to you. Okay, let's keep going. I hope that you enjoyed that. And please, I've got this music from YouTube. You just go on YouTube, you can find no copyright music. I do have a workshop that's called Music is Muse, but I don't have the rights to use that music on this platform. So be sure that you know the copyright rules before you share any music. Hey, look, action step number 3. Your failures can inspire and amuse others. I'm a syndicated blogger on the Huffington Post and some other sites, and I wrote a blog a couple years ago that went viral. I've been a professional writer for 40 years, and what hit the big time was a fart. It follows me everywhere. I wrote an article called "Don't Fart During an MRI." This had 800,000 hits, translated into 6 different languages around the world, and is used in hospitals across the country so people won't be frightened going into an MRI. It's my big failure, but it sure has inspired and amused others. And if you want to read it or hear it, it's on YouTube. But it was a failure, and I capitalized on that and made a lot of people laugh. Besides humor, I also write serious, and you can too. Writing a memoir can be painful, cathartic, and liberating. I'm working on another humor book titled Midlife Reboot: How to Unplug and Start Over. But I couldn't get into it because I had to write this memoir. It kept bugging me. So I finally wrote it and got it out of my head and onto paper. And I used some very serious courtroom scenes in here involving a lawsuit between my brother and mother. And it was very painful. But once I wrote it, it was cathartic. And I can go back to humor. Action step 4, know your audience. You can write your December story for one person. You can write it for family and friends. You can write it for the world. You don't know who your audience might be eventually. And so go with that in mind when you're writing and creating your stories. One of my favorite authors is Irma Bombeck. Hook them with the lead, hold them with laughter, exit with a quip they won't forget. I've been a speaker at the Irma Bombeck Writers Workshop on how to write humor. And those words of advice are so true. You have to have that powerful lead. But if you're writing humor, especially, exit with a joke. But if you're writing serious, consider the words of Kurt Vonnegut. Write to please just one person. If you open the window and make love to the world, so to speak, your story will catch pneumonia. Some words of advice. Here are some other audiences: retired women, millions and millions of us. If that's who you are and that's your audience, write to them. They will read it and appreciate it. Empty nesters. Again, our kids are gone. They do come home to visit every now and then. But what do we do in the meantime? What do we do when we're locked in our house for months at a time? We write stories. Grandparents, please continue to write to those precious grandchildren. I have several, and I write them stories and I tell them stories all the time. And if that's your audience, you can teach them to write stories and share stories with them. The same with caregivers, and a very important part of our society, especially those of us who are single daughters, usually end up taking care of elderly parents. And it's an honor, but it's also a responsibility that I don't take lightly. And sharing stories with them and for them is a challenge sometimes, but rewarding. Action step 5, learn new technologies. This little joke, I'd love to hear your long story if you make it short and interesting. But see that she's on a telephone. How many still have a landline? I don't. I grew up typing on a manual typewriter. And in my first job, if I made a mistake, I had to take the little eraser on the circle and erase it and the carbon. Then we went to computers. Then we went to online, social media, blogs. And I have a blog, and I was so excited when I learned how to insert a video or a picture or a link, and I'm learning every day. And I take classes. I go to conferences. I've been to blogger conferences and other writing workshops so I can continue to learn. I'm not done, and either are you. And by the time I learned this webinar, I was pretty frightened. I had to call one of my friends this morning at 8:30 and say, Sandra, I don't know what I'm doing. And she said, be quiet and do your webinar. So I appreciate that.